Hey, welcome to another Friday fun Black Ace. Tonight, along with myself in the studio at the moment, I have Mr. Foggy Dan Farms and Winning 420. The track was just scorched by Foggy Dan Farms horse, who posted a 121 speed rating. Steve, what was the finishing time on that?
That was 107.55, the new track record. But more importantly, that's the very first 121 speed rating I've ever seen in a race before.
Wow. I can't say I've
121,
ever seen it.
101.
Wow. Congratulations, Dan. Race 2
Thank you.
at Del Mar is loading up. So always watch the race. Usually a race coming on live, right? When we go live. The 2 is 8-5. The 10 is 5-2. Everybody else, well, 11 and 12 are respectable odds. Everybody else is long shots. I, without seeing the odds,
Yes, sir.
have bet a 10-4.
Oh, the Dr. Pepper.
Yes, the Dr. Pepper. So it's ready to go. And then we're going to talk about 2 or 3 topics. And then hopefully we will have a guest or two show up. Don't know when, don't know how long, don't know if, but they have been invited. And they're in the gate at Del Mar. As again, we cannot live stream it. So I'll just have to tell you what's going on. Unless you're watching it yourself, but it looks like they're off and away. The 2 on the rail, it's a 6.5 furlong race. The 12 on the far outside, and the 2 on the inside, looking for the early position, showing the early speed. 2 is one of the favorites, 12 8-1. Third place is it says 6, but I don't know if he's in third or not. Actually, might be somebody coming up on the rail. It might be the 6. But the 12 is actually pulled away by a length or 2 at 7-1. Storming inside. Now the 2 is like, I don't think so. You're trying to get my purse money. And the 2 circles wide. Following up the 2 is the 10. So we're looking at the 2 favorites, although the 12 doesn't look like he wants to give it up. It would be nice if the 2 or the 10 would win, and then they'd let the 4 sneak in there for second. Dr. Pepper could be had, but
that 2 is gritty, isn't he?
Yeah, 2 is gritty. Here comes the 10 trying to get him, and he's not going to. So the 2-10, 2 favorites.
I dropped a $4 win bet on the 2 right before the.
It's always nice to get a win. Nice to get a win. Even though it's nice to get an exacta win, even though I won't get as much as I spent on it, but hey, it happens. Anybody listening, we welcome comments. We will try to monitor comments in Digital Downs chat as well. I do have it pulled up. Foggy had to step away to take a call, I believe. Not sure if he's ready to come back, but I got Steve Stockton here. I'm going to ask Steve Stockton a few questions that I usually ask my other guests. Steve Stockton, known as Winning 420. Where are you from now, and where were you born and grew up originally?
Born in New Orleans, Louisiana. In downtown New Orleans at Mercy Hospital in 1969, way back in the day. I'm living here in Colorado now, which I've done for approximately 35 years of my life. So, yeah, Bob, we see that, huh, buddy? 121, 101. Isn't that something? But, yep, so I'm currently living in Colorado. I came here when I was starting middle school, and I've loved it here. You know, it's changed a lot, but I've loved it here, so I always find my way back.
Awesome. Now, in the real world of horse racing, have you ever been involved in horse racing?
Only superficially. Only, it's like by proxy for the most part, just by knowing people that are involved. I've always wanted to be, but I've been more of a fan and a gambler of the sport. But as we know somebody who has a little syndicate going that was kind of fun to be involved with on the outside, just monitoring, following, and
Yeah.
so that's about it.
Did we have the owner of Arctic Warrior who posted a 104 pace rating today in his G3 win, joining us, but he's crickets right now, not going to show us the ugly face.
104, good lord.
No. First time horse has gone 11 furlongs under 216. And he didn't just do 215.98. He did like 215.81. Unreal.
That's totally unreal. That horse is a beast.
It is. It's good. It's getting close. I think it's almost 2.8 million points in earnings. Hey, Steve, do you have a favorite horse in real life that you like now or like?
It's funny. There's a couple of horses that are relatively unknown. They're nobodies. They run at a lower level, and I follow them for some reason, just because. Wow, there we go. But there's a horse called Brazen that I follow. Just kind of been for about the last year or so, been kind of a favorite horse of mine. And another one called Portal One. They both run at the allowance level, allowance optional, claimer level, that kind of thing. But they were fun for me to follow. And yeah, but other than that, I don't have any like big name horse, like, grade 1 horse or anything like that I follow.
No Secretariat?
No.
Hey, did you have a favorite horse, or do you have a favorite horse in Digital Downs?
Arctic Warrior is kind of my favorite horse at Digital
No, one
Downs.
of your own. That don't count.
But I don't, but when I look back at mine, last year I had to create last season, I should say. And oh my goodness, what's hilarious is I'm drawing a complete blank on his name.
Stinky Boy.
Stinky Boy. There we go. But yeah, he was great. He was a sub 99 rated horse, and he ran graded stakes races with the big boys, with the sales ring horses. So he was kind of my favorite horse.
Nice. Now, of all your racing in Digital Downs, can you pinpoint one race that was your all-time favorite? It didn't matter if it was a claim or allowance stakes. What can you think of one single race besides Dan's Forgotten Magic winning the Triple Crown?
I think that's probably A on everybody's list. But
well, you'll be talking
but
about
that notwithstanding. Yeah.
No, I mean, honestly, there's not one race. I mean, I've watched so many races. I mean, I've been on here since 2012, and and I'm addicted to the stuff. So I'm on here every day. I watch all my races every single day. So, and then I watch some other ones too. So yeah, it's I really couldn't pinpoint one.
No, that's fine. That's fine. You've had many, so I can't imagine. I thought I'd throw that on you spur of the moment too, without giving you a chance to think it over. So
yeah, no, and I was sitting here like, what the heck? Nope, I can't think of one. Can't think of one.
who was your all-time favorite, based on something like that? So what I want to talk, I had a couple topics I wanted to touch tonight, and one of them is the purchase of yearlings and or purchasing 2-year-olds in the final month of the season. If the season runs on, it wears down, and people, maybe start, not entering as many, or they're waiting for their finals, or they're deciding their horses need a rest, which is nice thing. However, I think people, especially new players coming aboard, that's why new players, the time is now to go out and purchase your 2-year-olds, right? Because come next month, you can't create a 3-year-old out of the sales ring or breed. So what you brought to the dance now, as of the end of the month, is what you'll be dancing with next season. So curious if any of you three have a strategy on yearlings, or just loading up on unraised 2-year-olds for the eliminator, for 3-year eliminator, or just wait until like day one and then just smashing the breeding and the sales ring, or all of the above, or none of the above. So let's start with Mr. Foggy Dan. Have you got a strategy developed?
No,
None. None whatsoever. Play by
there's an
ear.
answer. There's an answer, Bill for radio, huh?
Yeah.
No, no.
Producer, mute this guy. Mute this guy.
So
What have you done in the past to get ready for an
I
upcoming?
do a little bit. I end up buying yearlings because I forget to check the box. But I don't, and I like to buy a lot at the beginning of the season. I don't know. I've never been a big fan of them
Yeah,
because,
like some people they're hot and cold. Some
yeah.
train
and
real well.
Listen,
and
there's
do real well. Yeah, some don't. So.
I don't believe there's anything wrong with them, and I do it as much as I don't. So no strategy, not to answer your question.
Well, the other part I want to get into
Mm.
eventually is, what you see when you train a yearling, and especially for newer players, because you might be a little shocked. And so we'll kind of delve into, like, don't get out the shotgun a little bit too early, or the snippers. So, Steve, how about you? What do you typically do in
Well,
season?
I buy 2-year-olds for the first 3 months of the season, and then the last month of the season, typically, if I do buy 2-year-olds, it's for the sole purpose of 3-year-old eliminator. That it would just be me taking a few shots at those. So anything I get in the last month, I hold on to for the eliminator. Yearlings, I've never had great success with the yearlings, but last season I had a little better success. And, as you said, we'll get into what is success with a yearling a little bit later in your broadcast, but I usually keep it under 20.
Yeah, I think that's pretty common. For us, I don't know how many horses everybody has, but I assume some people have 100, 200, 300, 400, 500. I don't know, but I think for the, say, 200 and under crowd, or I think that's probably about common.
What you posting there, Bob? What do we got?
Yeah, but I think Bob might be posting some yearling times. I'm not sure, but either that or some routers showing up in that router there has a nice close. But how about you, Mr. Tri-City Stables? Congratulations on your robot horse winning again. And what do you usually do?
Oh, I tried the yearlings. Well, first of all, thank you on the congrats. I tried the yearlings like the first time I played. I never really had much success with them. It's probably because I didn't know what I was doing, and probably still don't with yearlings. But I usually wait till the first day or two of the season and start buying them as 2-year-olds. Kind of what Paul alluded to last week, I think.
Yeah, I think I've had mixed success. I've had some yearlings that weren't the quickest trainers, just sort of like the non-yearlings that weren't the quickest trainers, even before the swap or before the aging and after that ended up, for me being some really good horses. So, that being said, I think what people have to keep in mind with the yearlings is a couple things. One is when you're training them, make sure the weight that you're training them at is proper. 120 for a colt, 118 for a filly. The 2, 3, 4-year-old, 5-year-old, two and up, I should say. The game engine puts them at the correct weight. The yearlings, I think people like to train yearlings at different weights, so it doesn't necessarily put a default weight on them. So make sure you are training them at the correct weight. Otherwise, you might have an unpleasant surprise or a pleasant surprise, depending on which way you went with them. I know I've made that mistake. I'm sure everyone else has too. So none of you guys plan on really, like the last week, if there's a nice ring in there, like last year, just loading up for the Eliminator 3-year-old or?
No, not me
I think
personally.
we had a horse last year got bought the day before or it was 2 years maybe, day before the end of the season. That's the horse that just posted the 104. Isn't that right? Didn't you get that on like December 31st or something like that?
Yeah, I just remember getting it and showing it to you guys, and Steve said that might be one of those horses. It's just like a 3-year-old monster. And
yeah, there's been quite a few on the site that
when it went with his advice and entered him in the Eliminator, and then
what were you saying, Dan?
There's been a few really remarkable horses that didn't have a 2-year-old season. I mean, I think there's something to that. Probably.
Yeah. God.
Yeah, that's been a theory of mine.
Black
Yep.
Frenzy.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Steve's got a theory on that. Go ahead, Steve.
Well, no, I was just going to say that all the 3-year-old super horses were unraced going into their 3-year-old seasons. So Black Frenzy, Arctic Warrior, all the ones that have gone on to have $2 million, $2,000 or 2 million credits in earnings, they were all unraced as 3-year-olds.
How about this one this year?
Gallant,
the one running tomorrow or Sunday, whenever it is.
Maximum Galanta.
Yeah, I don't know what I got to pull it up, but
it's tomorrow. Max drew the one.
But did he run as a 2-year-old? Anybody know? We can look it up.
Oh, I don't know that. No.
We'll look that up and see. But
I'll tell you.
But you're saying a later year, not just because it was born later in the year, but because it's fresh.
It did not. It was a maiden to start the season as well. So
on the realm of your horse might have 5 good races, might have 50 good races, might have 100 good races. You're thinking that a lot of that's because their good races don't kick off. They haven't used any as their 2-year-old because obviously a lot of them couldn't because they were just born. But okay.
Yeah, I just think the lighter raced horse, going into a full season, you got a horse that ran, let's say on the low end side, 12 races its 2-year-old season, 12 races in 4 months. And we all know that that's usually not the case, but that horse is going into its 3-year-old season is not as fresh as the unraced 3-year-old, and I think that horse the unraced 3-year-old therefore dominates those races, especially early in the season.
So what you're saying, if I just don't want to put words in your mouth, is my entire stable should be primed for their 3-year-old career.
I can tell you mine are primed for retirement when they hit 3 years old because I race them so much because I have such a small stable. So my horses, they recycle every, 3 to 6 days in race. So by the end of the
Steve,
season,
you got one in your pocket that can win tomorrow?
Well, I have Ron Barriere in there.
I'm rooting for you.
Rooting for you to break a leg out of the gate.
No, I want his horse to win easy.
to
Oh,
knock
I
out
think
the
Tom
to
or-
knock out the triple
knock out
crown
Max.
chances. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm
Well,
sorry.
Because I'll tell you
unfortunately,
what,
I'm
it's not
playing
going to
the
be
role of
it's not going to
Steve.
be
I'm
anybody that
sorry.
raced against him in the first two. It has to be somebody entered just for this race because
I don't know if
they
that
can't
horse,
beat him.
I don't know if
So-
that horse is a mile and a half or not. I didn't look at it.
that's the
Well,
problem.
but there-
That's
was
the
that
There's
last
problem.
so
race,
few true ones that his raw talent just gets
that
in
horse
there.
just is phenomenal.
So,
But you know what?
He's a
I'll let
really
you gush and do all that tomorrow on your preview show. The other thing I want to get into is, we're talking about the show a lot of times is our topic there was how do existing stables do it, and then trying to lead new stables into it, what to do to prep for the year or the upcoming year. But also, this is where you probably see some stables that have been kind of either off or running light or away from the game, and you start looking in the acquisitions and the workouts, and you start seeing some familiar names. And actually, I saw just a few minutes ago the Galloping Ghost took down a race, so I'm hoping he's back. I
Nice.
saw Rico, and I think he even listened to either mine or Foggy's podcast. That's what it should be called, the Fogcast. So I hope he comes back. I think he's a great player. Obviously, Ghost is a great player. I'd like to see Beast come back. I'd like to see Polaris come back more. I know Darren Dynamo. I just talked to him. He's been entering some. He's looking forward to it. But those are the guys that, and there's more. Don't. I could name another 10 or 15, but I'd like to get those guys back because the site is ever growing. Bob's working his butt off to get everything going, and if people have an issue, he takes it up, takes a look at it, works on it, and no idea is a dumb idea until we prove it's a dumb idea. So, I think next year is going to be a lot of fun because this was kind of the trial or test year of the different stable venues for not only for the races but for your horses and their breeding, assigning them and now breeding them in those. So everybody's learned a little bit, and so I think this year we're going to see better. But also for those guys coming back, the sales ring. At least the last sales ring was popping, and of course we know we got some good ones out of this ring. So I hope to see those folks back as well. I just wanted to touch on a few other topics, but let me check the messages here to make sure I'm not missing anything anybody's saying, or either of my guests are telling me they can't make it, but I don't know if they will. Has anybody had a chance to look over the ongoing discussion on next year's, the way minimum entries? Paul and I touched on it last week, but I don't know if anybody had fine-tuned what they believe as far as, or maybe we can just talk about it now. Mainly the graded leading up to the finals, how many horses, regardless of how many you enter, how many should run in the finals. Like say you had 3 horses eligible, would you have an issue with only 2 of them running, or what's the max you think one stable should have in it? I think they were kicking around 2 or 3, and some people didn't want to limit. So
probably 3, I guess.
Foggy,
I don't know, but I don't know that we're not here to try to save anybody. If they want to enter 6,
yeah,
good for me. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say. It's a tricky one, right? I was always okay with 3 in a final. I know, the whole idea is to spread the wealth a little bit more and to get more stables involved. But you know what? To get more stables involved, those stables have to be racing in those series as well, right? It's not like the stable that's got 6 running in the series and ends up with 4 in the final. I mean, their horses are running the series and they're racing against whoever else is running the series. So it's not like they're not earning it, So uh, I think it's a good idea to try and get more players involved in the series, but I was always okay with 3 personally.
Three seems to be a consensus. What do you think, Stan? You mind if you can only get 3 in there?
That wouldn't happen with me. I don't have that many that are that good, but I kind of have mixed feelings on it. To be honest with you, obviously, I think the bigger stables can get more horses prepared to have several horses in it, as opposed to the smaller stables. But I don't see any problem with having a couple in there. Maybe not 3, but
I don't think. I think 2. I don't think anybody's got an issue with 2. I think more of the issue was with like 5 or something. But I don't even know if it was an issue. I just think it was something being kicked around, to be honest with you. But that leads me back to the other topic when we were talking about stables. Does anybody mind sharing their stable size? I think a lot of people would like to know how many horses.
I have 65 horses at the current moment race that are
65, and I know you pretty much their hooves hit the ground as much as right. You don't have the whole freezer folder.
No. I mean, I buy 1 or 2 a day or breed 1 or 2 a day, depending on race results. But yeah, I'm always. I mean, I have a pretty strict P&L, limit on my horses. When they drop below a certain point, they go to the glue factory. So,
Sorry, you
okay, but so yeah, I try and I'm just not as big as I'd love to be big. I strive to be big, so that's why I don't mind when the big stables are entering that many horses, because at some point that's what I'd like to be. So how can I fault anybody for running their horses? And we all know it's just a numbers game. The more numbers you have, the more numbers you win. So that's just how it goes.
How many do you currently race, Stan?
I have 120 horses, in which about 10 of them are for sale. But so I guess I'm racing 110, although I can't say I'm racing that many.
But a given season, your stable size is 100 racers around, give or take.
Yeah.
You don't go up to 150 or down to 50 or anything. So 100 is a good average, right? And one Arctic Warrior.
Yeah. And I even struggled to, I was amazed the other day when I had 60 of them entered. So,
yeah. Now, we keep talking about Arctic Warrior, but is it true that you were looking at selling it at one point in time for like $300 to $500?
Maybe right after the Eliminator.
Yeah.
But now, no.
Yeah, obviously. Now, because I'm nosy, let's pretend that he's made it through his 4-year-old season and he's still, well, obviously it's only a few weeks away, still running well. I'm assuming he will be back for year 5.
I'm gonna race him until he proves that he can't race at that level anymore. I mean, I don't want to keep dropping him and racing him that way. But when he's gets to the point where he can't run those graded races, and he's probably going to be done then.
And that's when you'll sell him.
No. I'd be happy to sell breeds though.
How happy?
I think
Happy enough, for like
Induna
a
and I
dollar.
have
or-
Induna and I have a deal going on with
Well, that deal's done since he stepped the show tonight. Okay. Well, I once told you if you post a breed on that horse for a certain amount, I was going to hire someone from Anonymous to hack it and bring that horse over to me, but I'm not going to say the amount. But
So it turns out I might be the smallest stable here. Then I have 106 active. That includes
get
all the ones
after
I
it.
have set aside to retire, and of the rest, I probably have 20 that I race actively.
Yeah, I was going to ask you because I have no idea how many. Because
Yeah.
when
No.
you showed us your the tabs the other day, I guess, and there were like 80 tabs. I figured, gosh.
Oh, I used to have way more than that. Jeez, I had it broken down so fine, but I still ended up losing horses because it's like running a marathon. You get halfway through and it's like, oh, you look at all the ones you had left, and yikes.
Oh, good. It's funny. Do you ever forget one? Misplace it for too long
I used to all the time.
pull it up and say, hey, this
yeah.
horse ran a pretty good race last time and he sat for the last 2 months.
You know what I lose is a lot of breeders because I'll go looking for them. I keep forgetting that there's an unassigned tab that they all land in.
Oh,
So I'll be
yeah,
looking
true.
and looking. I'm like, why can't I find this horse? And then, of course,
Yeah.
naturally, you remember.
That is funny. That is funny.
I
Actually,
think I have
breeders.
about 5 categories, like 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds,
Yeah.
4 or 5-year-olds.
I had it broken down more than that.
I think it depends
And then
on.
I have a
on
category
go ahead.
for stakes horses and ones that are for sale, and then that's it for me.
Yeah.
I've talked to a few different people. I think it depends on how much you do tracking them off the game, like in my case in Excel or whatever. So in my case, every horse and all of its works and all that stuff is like I export the data files, that we can all export, and then I just kind of manually enter some works. But so that way I can sort them and rank them and all that, and put what race I want them in and all that. So I don't have to do a lot of the whole. So I have a tab for 2-year-old, 3-year-old, 4-year-old, and then those entered. So mine's probably the most simple. But I was going to ask, somebody brought something up and I had written it down when we were talking about stable sizes. And I didn't tell you mine, I guess. I now have about 135. Towards the end of every year, of course, I always looking for the sales ring for new ones, but I hit this not this ring, but the last ring hard because I felt like I was getting some really nice all around racers, both sprinters, middle distance, and I don't know if you call them natural stayers, but so I added maybe 50 horses in the last 2 to 3. That's why you'll see a rarity that I'm running more races than just about anybody. But so I like about 150 because as you know, I like to stockpile breeders, not as much as Foggy, but so that's where I'm at. That's what I was going to ask next is breeders. What does everybody look for in a breeder? Do you look for the 5X Arctic? Or I don't know if Arctic Warrior's 5X. Let's say the 5X 108 rated horse that runs 108, 30, and kicked butt. Obviously, you do look for that, but what type of horses do you guys prefer when breeding? Good, bad, or ugly? I mean, because obviously we know you can match the 2 top horses on the site and breed. You're not always going to get the best full. Otherwise, the game would be no fun. I'll start with Mr. Foggy since you've been around breeding.
I'm a big fan of lineage. That plays a big role with me. It's nice to have it backed up with a horse rating, and it has to be on the upper end of the conforms, I guess. Yeah, but like everything else, I'm kind of selective because I just don't want to wade through all of the mediocre stuff. And I really do wish that there were some sort of a repository where you could just donate horses and people pick them up if they want or not or whatever. I don't know.
So you don't. You could just post them without the dollar fee, and someone could just grab it.
Yeah, along that line, yeah.
For breeders or all horses?
Um,
We're talking about breeders, but do you mean for any horse?
well, no, I think we've been down that road before, and that
Okay.
causes a lot of problems.
Oh, okay. All right, Stan. What are you looking for? And obviously, we all look for sales rings, so we don't have to talk about that. But I mean, homebreds, I should say.
Well, you know me that if they don't race, then they don't stay in my stable. So I like to have racers that have decent conforms and a higher speed rating. But mostly for me, it's horses that can race. Seems like to me, if you like, and you said it yourself, Lee, that if you breed maybe a horse that just has 5X, but you breed it with a horse that was a racer, that sometimes the results seem to be better. But
What do you think,
No.
Steve? Oh, I'm sorry. Finish. I didn't mean to cut you off.
I was just going to say, obviously everybody wants the 108, 109 with great conforms and that can race, but those types don't always make great breeders either. So you never know.
Yeah, probably more times than not. And of course, you never know what they get paired with and all that too. But I mean, given the choice between a 105 5X that's earned 200,000 and won 3 stakes race and something less, I'd probably take the 105 5X. How about you, Steve? What do you typically? How much do you breed? You started slow, and all of a sudden I'm seeing all these recent homebreds from the winning 420 stable.
Well, my stable is primarily homebred.
Okay.
You know, I've built up. I mean, my breeders aren't the best, but you know, there's a certain hit percentage that's involved with the whole thing too. So, you know, it's hit or miss, just like the sales ring, of course. But I tend to, you know, I used to go with, you know, racers, and then I started, you know, and then the conforms came out and the horse rating came out. So then I started going with conform, and you know, like I would breed 2 5Xs and wouldn't pay much attention to the horse rating and just hope that, you know, my 2 5Xs put out another, you know, 5X that was a high horse rating. Nowadays, I'm more just horse rating. You know,
Okay.
I pay more attention to the horse rating than I do any other aspect when I'm breeding. I don't worry about race success. I don't work, you know, if I haven't retired in my breeding stable, I saw something that I thought was redeeming in it. So now I just start with my highest horse rated horses and I work my way down, you know, as those breeds get exhausted. So
Yeah, no, I hear you. And you know what? I don't mean to beat up on 5Xs because Lord knows there's 5Xs are special type of horse. So I don't think any of us are really talking negative about 5Xs, but I think we all strive to find if your 5X wasn't that great on the track, that maybe another 5X that wasn't so great on track either may not be the best, but 2 5Xs can still obviously breed a monster.
well,
Not so.
I can tell you what I do with my 5Xs now. I'll take a 5X and I usually look for a high horse rated successful racer to breed it with.
Okay.
You know, so I'll look for that 5X to make up for some of the deficiencies in conforms on the other horse, on the other breeder. And then I'll look for that horse rating and the racing success to hopefully spread over to the 5X side, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and then we should also remember that each year, you're creating a new bloodline out of that bloodline, if I'm saying that right. So you might start out. I mean, the 5X is, if it's even used to bring up weaker attributes from another horse, then you take that and breed, and this how many generations, and so I think you're constantly building a better horse as you're building higher conforms. I don't have the stats. I'm sure they're out there on how each perform, and how many horses that have no excellent are in the top 30 every year. But so I think conforms are what people are striving for, because we all do it. We all post a horse, and we all say, hey, this is a 4X 1BG. So we obviously all believe there's something to it, as well as the horse rating. But I don't think we can minimize. I don't think we have minimized, but those really great racers that have, the 99, 100, 101 horse rating, and they're out there. They're fewer, but less. Don't anybody think if it doesn't come out as a 105, you can't win a big race with it. So I think we probably all are very similar on our beliefs, but obviously, as people know, we do talk amongst ourselves as well as with some other trainers that post a lot or talk a lot. But I'll leave it at that. The other topic I wanted to get into is about breeding as well, and it's sort of personal preferences. Not really no right, wrong, just discussion. But when you don't have your own sire, your own dam, or it's late in the year and you've used up the breeds, and you're going out to the public, if you do, maybe you don't. Do you say, okay, I'm only looking at things $10 or under to pair with my horse? Or, hey, I'm looking for the cheapest one I can find out there because I know my horse is great and it just needs a mare. I don't have any mares left. So when and if you use a public horse, what do you look for other than obviously the record? But do you limit? Curious, as a potential seller of breeds, plus curious what other people do compared to what I do. So, like, what's your philosophy on going to the public breeder page? Stan, we'll go with you first. I always seem to not let you go first, so thought I'd wake you up over there.
That's for good reason. Anyway, for me, if I'm going to do a public horse, then it just depends on what type of a breeder I have to breed with it. If I have a really good one, then I'll spend a little more. But I look, like Steve said a while ago, I think the most success I've had with public breeds is with horses that have higher horse ratings, as opposed to necessarily the conforms.
Is there a limit? Like, will you never pay more than $10? Or when you say you'll pay more, is it 6 versus 3? Or
depends on what package I bought. The packages that Bob offers. If I have a package where I have
I see what you're saying. Where if some of the cost is really from a voucher, then you have more to spend on that. Okay.
If you're going to get a free breed, then it's easier to spend $10.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Or more on
I did that the other day.
But maybe that encourages people too to get in there and buy some of those packages that he has.
I'm going to repeat. That's a very good point. That if you're
you
trying
to admit that.
What's that?
You can't admit that.
I had a good point. Your mic. You can still hear. Oh, Steve, you're supposed to mute and turn him.
All right. Sorry.
That's a good point because, God, I keep saying that. That's an adequate point. because I did that the other day. Because someone had a really nice, I can't remember whose it was. Yeah, you know, it's like I think it was $10 or $12, and my account was kind of low, but I did have a voucher, so it's like, you know, in the end, the horse is still going to cost about the same, so I'm going to go ahead and use it. So I did. How about you, Steve? What do you look for? I know you probably don't use them that much, but if you were to have to or need to or saw one you really liked,
Yeah,
what would you look at?
I don't look at them too much, but I tend to, look at horse rating, but I also look at, average earning per offspring. I like to take a look at that, make sure that the numbers aren't skewed by one horse or not, So I usually take a deep dive in. In the past, I used to look for speed mares specifically when I would go to the breeder page.
Speed mares, you mean like sprinters?
Correct.
Or just any?
Yep.
Okay.
I had a theory that was spread down to me by a couple of former players, and they used to tell me, breed whatever sires you got, look for speed mares to put them with. And for the longest time, I did that, but we had a lot less information during those times. So we didn't have conforms, we didn't have horse ratings. So
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's true.
now that we've got conforms and horse ratings, I look at that horse rating because, when you look at, the normal graded race on a daily basis, the average horse rating in that race is probably somewhere in the, this is just a guesstimate, but I would say probably somewhere in the 103 range it up,
Okay.
is the average horse rating in a stakes race. So whether it puts out a good racer all the time or not, the best racers in grade 1 races tend to be high horse rating horses. So that's just kind of what I'm trying to reproduce.
Okay. So, but to the initial question, how high would you go?
How high would I go? I could tell you that the highest I've ever spent on a breed, because I'm a cheapskate, I think the most I've ever spent was like $6
Okay.
in 10 years.
So tomorrow, Dan's horse that just hit the 21. It's a fast. I don't know if it's a mare or not, but it was fast. It's damn fast. He throws it up there for $25.
Not
Nope.
me.
Not
me.
Okay.
I'm going
Perfect
to
toy. How about perfect toy?
I'm going to my breeder barn and I'm pulling something out of my own stuff, and I'm breeding
All
myself
right.
a
That's
horse.
okay. That's all. That's fine. Hey, yeah, Foggy, you have so many breeders. I doubt you ever use the public breeders, and you have so many people you can trade breeds with. But let's say hypothetically, I know
there's no limit to what I would pay for a breed to a unique, either talented or whatever the case may be, a unique horse. Every once in a while, a horse comes along and you're just dying to breed to it. And so I don't mind spending for those, but typically, no, I wouldn't. I mean, I guess I would pay up to $10 for a breed. It's something, yeah. And if it's complimentary, I might have run short in that particular barn or something, and it helps me out there. But
okay. I was just,
you know me. I'm not afraid to spend.
No, I know.
But I'm looking for unique. Absolutely,
I hear you.
Yeah,
makes sense. Looks like Steve.
Oh, Steve's picture.
Yeah, Steve looks like a little white circle with a stick person in it. Oh, there he is.
I had to do
Went to get some tea, didn't you? Yeah, there it is.
What?
All you guys, it's like monkey see, monkey do. Stands up here drinking. Foggy sees that and he takes a drink. And now Steve and I got nothing. Okay, so the next one, I actually wasn't going to talk about this, but when we were talking about breeding, it popped in my head because there's been a lot of discussion on the board about it. And that is the number of horses bred in California or Pennsylvania. So as breeders, Steve, you had said you typically use your own. So being that you probably don't have a lot in Pennsylvania, California, or if you do, you're one of the ones that's providing it. What would make someone, any of you three, say, that Pennsylvania market's pretty light down there. Maybe I should go and enhance my stable size in there in California, or is there? I know once you set a horse up, that's its home state to breed. But now with the no fee, and you can move them around.
Right. And I think what you saw in the beginning there was, because this whole state thing is barely 2 seasons removed, right? So you had a situation where, I had, I think, 80 breeders that I had to assign to a state,
Right.
and I think I'm one of the smaller stables as far as that goes. I'm sure there's people with hundreds of breeders, and I think we're just so new to it that initially people they overloaded certain areas.
Okay.
They saw the initial breed value,
Okay.
and they put all their stuff in one state. But
Okay.
I have a total of like 12 in California and 1 in Pennsylvania right now.
Breeders or horses?
Breeders.
Okay, so as we all know, when a horse retires, you can put it anywhere. So now seeing that the trend is lower, obviously the sales ring New York, and that's another topic of whether sales rings will be randomly or somehow determined other than them all being, or not New York, Churchill, Kentucky. So let's say you had a nice crop, 5 sires, 5 dams. You obviously, they might have ran in one state, but they can go breed in another. Any shot you would push them down to Pennsylvania or California and hog all the state bred money?
Well, I'm in the process of evaluating right now. Now that the movement is free, because if you remember, the initial retirement, you had to pay $5,000 to retire it in any other state that wasn't the state it was racing in. If you remember, where it was registered to race in. So if it was a Kentucky bred and you went to retire it, if you wanted to retire it in Pennsylvania, it was costing $5,000. I think you had a lot of people initially that were reluctant to move because $5,000 is $5,000 when you're on a budget. But
Okay.
with that being free right now, I think everybody should take a look at that. And I think that was one of the reasons Bob did it was to allow people to spread their breeders to other states and to get over that initial assignment. So that's what I'm in the process of doing. And
so we should say that that's free right now. I think he's made it known that he's evaluating it, so it's free right now. All the stuff that used to be $1 or $2 or $5, I think he's being kind and saying, "Okay, guys, what works best?" The whole concept wasn't for him to gain a bunch of extra revenue.
No, and I didn't mean to make it sound.
No, you didn't. You didn't make it sound that way. But I think the thought being that if you could retire any horse anywhere, maybe there'd be way too many go to Churchill, because that's where the bigger purses are. So there was a lot of discussions on the board and on all the extra side chats and everything.
So Steve, if you don't mind, can I ask Steve just a follow up?
Oh yeah, sure.
Okay. So are you making a conscious effort to race in all the different states now, or I think what are you looking to do at that? Otherwise, why would you or wouldn't you spread your horses around?
Well, I don't know if you saw what he posted in the chat the other day with the new structures, the new race structures.
Yes, he's testing it.
And some of the things he's considering for state prizes, like for winning the certain meets and having having breed vouchers in Pennsylvania or whatever the case may be, sales ring vouchers or so forth. all that's very enticing to me, and I would
Yeah.
definitely be more willing to spread my horses out in order to do that. So, like
All
I
right.
said, initially I put all my horses in New York, because I didn't want to go through 100 horses, and spread them out. I just put them all in New York. But now that these bonus structures are getting more defined, and things like that, it's just more attractive to spread them around. So I'm going to make a
Yeah,
point
makes
to do it.
sense. Sure.
Yeah, and we should also say that there are some opposed to um, being able to move your horses around so freely. So um, I've seen comments where it's like, okay, they should stay in one place for a whole season or something like that. So I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I'm just saying that there are two sides of the coin. Everything. Mr. Stan, you gonna go and start breeding? Gonna sign Arctic Warrior to Pennsylvania?
No. Basically, I'm speaking to all the guys that don't have a clue, the younger, the first players, because I'm not sure that I even have a clue now. But like when we had to declare that last season, I put all my good ones in Kentucky and ones that I didn't think were as good in Pennsylvania, and then trickled a few around in the other places. But now that you can put them, you know,
No
I'll
fee,
probably,
no fee to breed, and
yeah.
what you're saying, or no fee
The,
to move them. For now,
I'll,
let's keep saying that that's a current situation, and it's being tested. So if it's
yeah.
abused or doesn't work, not popular, I'm sure he might
Um,
decide putting a fee back on it.
I've got a lot of 3-year-olds that will be breeders here soon, and that makes my breeding stock, a lot bigger than it was last time around. So I'm like Steve, I'm gonna try to look at ways to get horses at all the tracks, just for the purpose of doing that, to
Okay.
reap the benefits from each of the different tracks. And it just seems to me it would be more fun to do that. So
Are you raising your hand, Foggy?
No, I was
Oh.
cheering because he hit a double left the bottom of the wall.
Oh, the Cardinals did.
yeah,
Cheering for St. Louis, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay. I guess it's still a big discussion on how the horses are spread out. My initial theory, I also placed most of all, not of mine, in one, which was Florida. I was kind of looking at the different state bonus payouts and breeding fees and all that, and I kind of wanted, I guess, to be middle of the road type in all of it. So, but I could see, and this for anybody that's building a breeding barn and anybody that maybe is more budget, I could see someone like camping almost all their horses in Pennsylvania and California, because they would have lesser cost to breed, lesser cost to race. You're not going to make as much. Now you happen to breed a monster, you move it up to the other tracks. You just, certain races you won't be able to play in. So I can see. I think Foggy actually talked about that strategy once before. Is if you're a large time breeder, say you breed 500 a year, well, would you make up the extra money in purse money that you save in breeding fees to go, say, hey, I'm gonna rule the roost at the other three? I'll throw Florida in there too, because they all cost the same to breed. You're gonna rule the roost there and get, most of your horses will be running for state bonuses, which I think, as we've seen, is underutilized. So probably because the horses aren't spread out as much. But so then you go up to run, say you had a horse, Kentucky Derby type horse, and that's an extreme. But so you've now bred it in Pennsylvania, cheaper. You still can run in Churchill, but you're going to miss out on the the state breds, which can be state bred only and state bred bonus races. So, but for someone, I mean, so that's kind of an extreme as far as more of a strategy. But if I'm new to this game and I want to run a barn, 50 to 100 horses, and I want to, keep the costs relatively low, I think I would consider setting up my barn in California, Pennsylvania, and then learning the game on a budget. And then maybe, as I got more and more money, bigger budget, I might, I think we call it moving from the left to the right or whatever, start spreading them around. I don't think there's any one stable that kind of rules every track right now. I think a lot of stables race at every track, but I think it's, they just look for a race with their horse. So if their horse doesn't have a race in one track, they go look at another. But it's an interesting concept. Did I leave anybody out? Did I leave you out, Foggy?
Um,
I mean, I know
no.
you're not big on the lower budget races. I know you like to run for the big stuff, but would
Oh,
you
and-
ever see yourself setting up I don't know, 10, 12 sires and dams and adding a lot more horses in those?
That's actually how I distributed mine.
Oh,
When
you
we did
did?
it, I put a representation at each track, and naturally the breeders at parks, I would salt it with a few 5Xs just so they're competitive down there. But it pretty much ranged in talent down the ladder from Churchill down. I had a real good breeding year actually out of my New York breeders this time
Okay.
around. So I don't know, it just happened that way.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, we're about out of time, unless you guys have some topics that you want to discuss, or I haven't seen any comments from either the chat or the Discord. So my last topic, 2 topics. I just thought of another one. One name, you see their horse in a race, scares the dickens out of you?
Everybody.
Who is it? Who is it that I don't care if it's the Ponchos of the world or Eddie's, or I don't want to slight any Foggies or Steve, whatever. But when you're loading up and you're like, oh crap, so and so's in this race,
At 4
you can never
furlongs,
beat him.
you. At 4
Me?
furlongs, it's you.
You
know,
and Foggy
for-
both.
for
At 4
me,
furlongs.
For me, it's Sweet and Poncho. Like they
Poncho.
both, they whoop. my
Yeah,
butt
but is
all the
it
time.
because of the sheer numbers, or is it because of the talent level? Naturally, you
they-
have to fear them a bit if they got 6.
Well, okay, let me
In there with
No,
fine-tune
I'm
it.
just
Let me
saying they
fine-tune
always
it.
have a
Yeah.
horse flying at the end. They always have one
Mm.
flying at me at the end of the race. Whether
Oh,
they
yeah.
have
Yeah.
one in the race or they have 3 in the race, they got one flying at me coming at the finish line. So
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair enough. How about you, Foggy?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I give a lot of respect to Stu, and especially when he's not racing much, because man, he is dressed to kill. When he enters them, then you better be careful. Now he's racing a little more now, and so he's all over the levels, but pretty much
Okay.
him.
And
You
for
know.
people that don't know, that's in Duna. Stu is
Oh,
in
I'm
Duna.
sorry. Yeah, in doing it. Yeah.
No, it's fine. Just
It's
some people may not know who that is.
Well, and I always have to look twice when Stan's in a race. I just take a look at his horse to see what I'm up against, because he's pretty selective. I know the horse is going to be well placed. Now,
Yeah.
it's just a question: can I beat it somehow?
Yeah, and that's Tri-City for newer
That-
people.
Correct.
And I keep calling him Steve. It's winning 420.
It's time we all got on a first name basis here, Digi.
Mr. Price over there grinning.
Oh, I could name 8 or 10.
No, you don't get to.
All you guys in this room, I could name.
No.
But,
you get 1 or 2 tops.
The one in the last 2 seasons, especially, that whenever I see their name in a race, that I figure I'm running for second, and that's in Duna for sure.
Mm.
Okay. You stole
You know
my.
who else though? You know who else of the new generation? Creek and
Yep.
help me out here. The other guy, Stalls, was going real good. He's got a
Oh,
lot
yeah,
of talent.
yeah,
Both of them
yeah.
have so much talent.
Yeah.
So
Credit to all
I-
those guys too, because they came in just a few seasons ago. Unless some of them were here before and I didn't, but I'm pretty sure they're all relatively new.
I think
And
the
they've started-
competition right now, to me, is as stiff as it's been since I've been on here. Just because there
Yeah.
are so many new stables coming in, and they're running really well,
Right.
Oh,
and
they're
it's
putting the-
it's hard to win a race.
And listen, we're not trying to slight anybody we didn't name. Like Stan said, you could look in your race and see 7 other trainers and say, "Oh, good. Why did I pick this race?" But so I'm not slighting anybody, but there always seems to be that one guy or girl.
Well,
if there's girls
Dan
in the
makes a
game,
good point because those new stables are putting in the time and the money. They're certainly
Yeah.
not shy about acquiring
Yeah.
talent. So
right? And Discord helps
And-
because when I first started, Discord was just being born, and Bob has videos out there now, and people freely chat, a lot on the side little areas, and so more information. Everybody's learning more.
So I
But-
gave you a current name,
Yes.
all right. But if we're gonna go, historically or lifetime, Beast Mode had the most quality horses. It seems like he would only enter one, maybe two in a race, but just every race he was in, he had a beast. I mean, hence
Yeah.
the name. But
Yeah.
wow, he just had some real bears.
Yeah, oh, I'm sure if you go, I've heard some of the names. I can't remember them now of the past that were really unbelievable. I'm not saying you guys aren't unbelievable either. I'm going to disqualify those in the room because I do fear when they have, but I have 2 right now. And like Stan, I could list a many, but there's 2 thorns in my side that just seem to want to beat me bad right now.
I wish it was
They
me.
either wire me or they come from the back. And one of them is in Duna, I will say. I cannot beat that guy. I had to break a track record to beat him. And that, I'm not bragging about the track record, but that's about the only way I can beat him. Matter of fact, we were chatting the other day, and he made some statement. Oh no, Black Ace horses never beat Duna horses. I'm like, yeah, can't really argue with that. And then he said, except Ms. Meshach or whatever, the one that beat him. But this guy used to be SoCal. Now I think he's Jake the dog. Is that what he just changed to? Is SoCal Jake the dog? Bob, let us know. I can't beat that guy. He gets out front. I can't catch him. I get out front and I look, and he's always lurking back there. And there he comes down the stretch. So he's got some really nice horses. And another one that popped into my mind, so I'm breaking my own rules, is Flip. I don't know his name,
Yeah.
but he has horses. I don't know how he trains them. He must train them all 5 wide because they can run 5 wide and still finish strong. And there's the Ponchos and the Eddies and the Pauls and I guess maybe I'm not in as many of the bigger races, so I don't get beat by Eddie's best stuff, But those are the guys right now that are red hot. So everybody we mentioned, to me, and I apologize if we've left anybody out. It's sort of just off the top of our head type things.
Hey, I wanted to give
anybody else think of another one?
I was just
No?
going to go in a different. I was going to give a shout out to the Jake Dog stables. They're winning at 20% right now.
Yeah,
And
I think that's SoCal. That's what I mean.
his
I think
name
he
is
changed his
Don.
name.
His name is Don, right?
I don't know.
Let's get him on.
Jake,
Right.
Jake,
Bring him on here. Bob, let's book
Jake-
this guy.
Jake Dog.
His real name
stable,
is
whatever.
Don. Is that what you're saying, Steve?
Yeah, that's his
But
real name is Don.
But he
in the
was
chat.
SoCal, and now he's Jake the dog. I think.
Oh, okay. That's the same people.
I think he just changed his stable name.
Yeah, I think he
Okay.
just changed his stable name.
I've
That
been
guy's-
getting
he's
late.
doing pretty
There's a
well.
new player that started beating me bad too. Gray something, and
Gray Ghost, is that who it is?
yeah, he decided to start beating me, and then well, like that's not that great a feat, but I mean the guy that just started too. I saw him do a bull. Is there a bulldog or bull something?
Yeah.
He just
Bull-
decided to beat me too. Huh?
yeah. That's it.
So,
I was
so
gonna
those,
say
there's
too.
a lot of new names that are popping in that are winning races, which is nice.
When I'm actually in the lead, going into the stretch run, another name that scares the crap out of me is Chrisman because
Well,
his
yeah,
horses-
none of
Yeah.
us mentioned Christmas.
his horses are
It goes
always
without
flying.
saying that.
Yeah.
It goes without saying that.
Yeah, there's some guys you just don't even need to say it.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. There's so many, but even that's why I try to preface it by saying, it's not necessarily the greatest trainer on the site, even though there's so many. But is there just that one trainer that's a thorn in your side? It's like, damn it, that horse is awful, but today it's going to kick my tail. Although Andunas aren't awful, but okay. Last topic for me, and then we're going to shut it down. It has nothing to do with horse racing. It's we want to invite people to play games outside of Digital Downs. Play games with us. We won't pay you, but we will make you laugh. Well, we might pay you if you play poker with us. So Foggy wants to get a poker league going, and it's on Poker Stars, correct, Foggy?
Yes.
We would like to have a set, if possible, just like this show. Maybe the show is going to turn into Black Ace Poker Fridays or something. I don't know. We would like to get, if there's enough people interested in like meeting every once a week, 2 weeks, whatever, sitting down and playing. Obviously, it's with play chips, but we kind of like to put a little horse wager, like buy someone a sales ring, that type of thing. So if there's anybody, I think we've now maybe got 6 or 7 interested. So we just have to put it together. And then we all just started playing Rust, a game that everybody else played 10 years ago. So, and we have a server that, so if anybody wants to come on and kill us or be on our side, we are trying that game out at least for the near future.
Or
And
be
we
our
have,
victims.
Sons of the Forest will be coming out soon.
Mhm.
And then we kind of ended our run on Valheim, I think. But or if somebody has another one, we will play the game with you. We are bored old men who
Hey,
other
speak for yourself over there. No.
Yeah,
I
Steve.
I also play chess a lot on
Yes,
chess.com.
Foggy plays chess,
So
we may have
I'd
to
love
have
to
a
have
non.
have a game.
We may have to have a podcast of we will talk some Digital Down stuff, but maybe we'll go off topic for a
All
bit.
our favorite board games. Or
Yeah, or
Geek
Board
out
and
on
or
some
slash
I
games.
just don't
video
think
games.
people realize that some of us old retired, sorry, Steve, some of the rest of us actually played games growing up, even if they were Commodore 64 or console, whatever, Atari 2600. But we admit we're awful at it, so that's why you should want to come play with us. Except Steve, who's really good, and Bob, who's really good.
Stop.
Because if Bob's not good when you start playing, he'll be good in 10 minutes. So,
Tell you what, if anybody ever wanted to play golf again,
yeah,
I'd
we have
play.
golf. We'll play anything. We'll play anything. Please come play games with us.
I don't even know how to set any of it up, but I kind of
Yeah.
like playing backgammon too.
Backgammon. That'd be hard for multiple people, but same as chess, unless you had a chess tournament. But it doesn't necessarily have to be 10 people. If Foggy's putting a challenge out, if you can stand his claw, is that what it is, Foggy? The claw?
Oh, yeah, the crab.
The crab? I
Yeah.
say it wrong every time. Foggy challenges you to beat him in chess and survive the crab.
The crab.
Hey, Lee, I wanted to ask a question too. Whatever
To who?
happened to that pet named Philadelphia?
For those who are not familiar, we on Bob's server. He'll be commenting soon. He might pop in here. You might have woke him up, and so this is your blame. I'm not going to get too specific. In the server, that's another game we used to play. There's a bot game where we used to go over there and just mess around and play blackjack. It's a lot of singular type stuff, but you can get a little virtual pet, and we all had virtual pets. We all gave them names, and Duna abandoned his, so it ran away or something. And Bob abandoned his, but it didn't run away. It killed him. So his name is right, Philadelphia. This dog bit his arm off, or something. Virtually. Now, most likely this will be edited out of the podcast, but we all have a good poke at fun at Bob about once a year on that. But it was just funny to see it happen, really, and then his reaction. But that was hilarious.
One of those you almost had to be.
I know.
It almost had to be there moment.
Yeah, and his reaction is it's best. But you, Foggy,
And Duna has revived his though.
He's got another pet now.
Oh, he's got the same one.
Slowpocus.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know Slowpocus was back.
Yeah.
Foggy, before we go, what you talking about tomorrow?
We'll have a look back at the Belmont. I will have a giant beer sitting next to me that I'll be ready to cry in on camera. And then a look ahead. There's 4 G1 races. Yeah, there's 4 Grade 1 races on Sunday. I thought I'd do a little preview on that.
And Steve, I don't think you can't make it tomorrow, right, Steve?
Yeah, I'm going to try, but I don't think I'm going to be.
Yeah, that's okay. I just want to. So we'll be looking for maybe another analyst. Steve does such a great job analyzing. And when him and Foggy double team, it does work pretty well. Any last thoughts, fellas? Sorry I went a little bit over, but I think we had a lot of good topics tonight. So I hope, even though we didn't get a lot of comments, I thought we covered a lot of
everybody
topics
have a great weekend.
And a lot of good information. And again, these comments are ours and not that disclaimer you always hear. The previous comments were those of the members only and not those of Digital Downs or whatever. But all right. Thanks for joining me, guys. It was fun.
Take it
Now let's
easy.
go play Rust.
All right.
See you
Later, guys.